What's going on, Workforce? Brian and Chris here, and today we actually get to explore some numbers. The financial report has come out for Square-Enix, and I think there's some really exciting things to explore. So Chris and I thought we would dive into the numbers, give you guys our thoughts about them and what they mean for the future, especially for Square-Enix. We've got them up here. Again, these links will be in the description. This is translated because obviously the financial report is coming over from Japan. So this is Google translated. So there might be, like, if you're looking at the screen and like, oh man, that doesn't look like comprehension. So we're going to do our best to take it and actually make it comparable for you guys in this video. Chris, dude, why don't you take it over from here? You sent me these articles this morning. I was watching the kids while Julie had to go run some errands. And Square-Enix, they doing good, or like, is this like they just sold off the West? Like, what are we looking at here?
So it looks like, looking back, that console sales are a little bit down. You know, I don't really follow enough of this stuff industry wide to know if that's just typical, but in the context of looking at the next year, they sold off some of their franchises that would be primarily known for console sales. So I think that makes a lot of sense by explaining to us where some of that is happening, because those things like Marvel Avengers did underperform, and those were very expensive franchises to bring on. Mm-hmm. And so I think moving them to somebody that maybe can do a better job managing it, hopefully, is a win for both those teams and for Square-Enix. The online stuff, and basically everything that falls under CBU3, which is Yoshi P's division, is crushing it. I saw some people kind of tweeting their things. I didn't see where they were getting the exact math, but it looks like CBU3 may be responsible for somewhere between a quarter and a third of Square-Enix's revenue.
Yeah, Yoshi P.
And so when Yoshi P said last year in a PLL, he said, right now, we are making the most money of any division inside Square-Enix. If another game or division wants to catch up with us, and I don't know how this came across in Japanese, but in English, the translation, this was live translated, I believe, and he literally said, "I'd like to see them try."
Yeah.
And like part of that sounded like my wife just got a raise at work, and I've had friends ask, like, are you okay with her making more money than you? And like, yeah, I am. Like, I know that bothers some people. There's like power dynamics within their couple. That's your thing. But for me, like, I would love to make more money, and then my wife still out earn me, because like it's a shared resource. And so from my perspective, that's like playing like a twos RTS tournament. And it's like, yeah, well, what if your ally had a bigger army? It's like, awesome. Like, even bigger than yours. Great. And so like, I'm all for it.
This is PvE, baby.
Like,
this ain't
like
PvP.
To see her try would be like to see her try. No, I do like legitimately like to support her. So I don't know if he meant it like that, or if he meant it how it sounded, which was like, best of luck. Oh, bring it.
Now, if we look at it though, we're seeing within like the MMO game sales and the fiscal year ending in 2022 with a significant increase to 62.2 billion yen, which is up 56% from the previous fiscal year. What do you guys thought?
Now, that does tie to Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Yeah. But somewhere else, they broke that stuff down more, and most of that seems to have come from the launch of Endwalker. The launch of Endwalker does seem to do that. So I hope these people aren't like, I bet he can hit that again on a new saga. I hope that the financial people here are good at communicating that end of a saga is not a repeatable thing. Like, I'd love to see the game continue to succeed, but end of a saga does have a particularly unique draw to the player base that feels like a pretty unfair advantage there. It's good to see it paid out. Like, if they couldn't have this growth from end of saga, then what could they? Yeah. So it's good to see it pay out. It's exciting. When he says spare no expense, it's nice to put a ceiling on what that number means. Turns out, big number. And so the monthly active users across the board for their online franchises seem to be rocking and rolling. And remember, this is all, there is no Final Fantasy 16. There is no, like, there are still things
the 16 coming. is what's actually costing money, and 16 when it like actually releases, and then it starts going from a cost to like, hey, we have this as a product. What also I want to point out is that even in January through March 2022, you saw 14 billion, which is up 35.9% over the last previous fiscal year, which didn't have an expansion to go against it. What I find is humorous in this, though, is that it was down from December, where the expansion actually launched in terms of revenue, because you're getting your monthly subscription, but you're not getting that initial, also that extra 40 to 60, bump from just the expansion sales alone the previous month prior. But this is still good because if you guys remember, January, February, March, like there was game after game after game. Like, it was unreal how many games missed the fall and shifted into that window. It was kind of a wild, quarter.
We live in a great time. I saw somebody repeat it. The Bethesda delays announced yesterday. I saw somebody tweet, "Don't let this get you down. Remember, we are inundated with great games right now." And I thought that was like a great point. It was just like, it's such a great time to be a gamer that when something's delayed, just move it off your calendar, slide another game in. It's no big deal.
Right.
But what's crazier is it says third largest sales volume in history, and they just admitted there was one bigger the quarter before. So, like, does that mean that Endwalker already has 2 of the top 3 largest grossing
breaking its own records month over month?
Oh,
yeah. And so you're right. This doesn't count. This also includes like money from Final Fantasy XI, but like Final Fantasy XI is still profitable to them. It's one of the things that when you look at their online, options, Yoshi P has stated like, yeah, Final Fantasy XI is still making them money. They're not spending a lot of money in its investment, but it's still there. It's got an active player base right now. They have a campaign going on, like with discounts in terms of the game, free logins and stuff. So it's that overall, as that celebrates 20 years, I think this is really great information in terms of profitability. It does say that there's like when you think about it, the risk and the cost of getting into it, but if you're able to get in and have an MMORPG, like I think this continues to show just based off the charts alone, like quarter over quarter, year over year, like this continues to trend upwards and it continues to build momentum. And so congratulations to Square-Enix on this. And yes, like I guess you could also say that, yeah, this money is funding, Endwalker and Final Fantasy, and yes, it's probably also funding some of the other things that haven't been, gone over so well within Square-Enix, like Avengers, but it looks like those are getting taken off the books, and so that will end up, I guess, hopefully making them focused. And then obviously more rumors right now going on this last week. So people are, claiming they have inside information that Square-Enix is about to be bought by Sony themselves. And so that would be that kind of tracks.
What a time to buy! What a time to buy! Way to buy the peak.
Oh yeah. That tracks with what Sony wants to accomplish by 2025, because they stated that they want to have like 10 live service games by 2025. And I was like, they either have them in the pipeline or they're going to try to close in on on somebody who already has them. And Square-Enix has 3 right now. And then they just got Destiny, so that's 4. So they just need to get 6 more.
Microsoft is in the middle of buying theirs, and they've got relationships, and they've got Microsoft already has ESO. They're bringing WoW online, so like they're moving.
The other story we want to talk to you guys about today right here is we got the Final Fantasy housing system. It looks like we're finally going to be wrapping up hopefully this as an issue, and it can finally go into like real production in the sense that people can get their houses. So let's go ahead and go through this post with you guys as well. Chris, do you want to take it over?
So for anybody that has not been following this saga, up until this point, the housing system has matured from its original inception into this kind of state that it held in where they add wards. It's never enough. And ultimately what you have to do is you have to click on a sign, and you need to be the first person to click on a sign when it's an invisible and hidden timer dings to 0. First person to click after the timer hits 0, there's no warning, gets the house. That house will either be then used as a player-owned house or as a free company-owned house. It can never switch. And the timer was added so that people could not direct sell houses, but people found ways around that and all. And so there's it's been this whole terrible, dramatic, constant thing that just denies people content. The biggest actual true reason, in my opinion, is that we don't get access to Thavnarian onions any other way than to own a house. I would note that we have a beast tribe coming in 6.15 that lives in a place called Thavnare. Wouldn't it be cool if they could give us some freaking onions? Like, that would just remove that. So as we look at how this has matured, this expansion, we moved into what is called a lottery system. There are 24 wards. And so we took wards 1 through 18, and made those free company driven, which is its original intent. So more wards there. And then 19 through 24 are becoming your player owned ones. Existing houses stay where they are, but that says that if your ward changed, like my ward was a personal ward, I own a personal house in it, When it releases, it will stay a personal house. But if it was the other way around, if my ward was in a free company ward, I would have a personal house in a free company ward, which I selfishly would like because my ward would be coming to life and I'd just be the only one that owns a solo house in it. But as those people relinquish houses over the years because they for accidentally try to take like, I don't know, something crazy, like a 45-day break from the game, and that house would be relinquished and it would enter a free company lottery state. The lottery state basically says, on day 1 of a 9-day cycle, what houses are available? All those houses now enter a lottery state. We have 5 days to buy a ticket, just like the real lottery. Doesn't matter when you buy your ticket, except that you can see how many people have previously bought a ticket. So it is a little closer to like a silent auction or raffle at a local charity event. Then we're going to move into a 4-day claim window after the drawing, where just like a local charity event, you got to go pick up your prizes. And if you don't, it's going back into the prize pool for next time. If you don't, you're going to lose your money. If you decide, you know what, I want a ticket, I don't actually want the prize, you're going to lose half your money to discourage that behavior. And otherwise, everybody's going to have to go back and pick up their money for their tickets because you all put it into kind of escrow. And so that's where it sits. And then they rolled this out. Everybody cheered and was amazed. And this wasn't going to fix the shortage, but it was going to fix the I don't want to click on a sign for 80 hours.
Yeah.
And so what then happened is the first one went out and they did the drawing. And some of them went through without a hitch. Those people own their houses. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed that. Others, it picked a winner and did not communicate that back to the housing server. It just kept that information to itself, never announced who won bingo. And the drawing was just over and the house is just sitting there unclaimed. Now, those people feel if we do a new drawing, that's unfair because then anybody who didn't bid on that because they bid on one of the other ones, then they didn't get it. Now they have lower odds because now there's less houses going into this new raffle. And the only reason they're in the raffle is because the person who won wasn't allowed to claim. They did save the results. That's why my stream notification for like 2 weeks there were the housing results were saved. They were saved. They just didn't make it to the live server. So they've been trying to roll out a fix so it'll never happen again. And B, make sure that when they roll out that fix that they preserve the lottery results. Any of you who lived through World of Warcraft patch 8.3 when they rolled out the auction house and they accidentally lost everybody's mail and billions of gold was out in the world, they did the same thing. They rolled out a fix. They said, we think we have the fix working. We want to be sure that this right. And they delayed the date that they implemented the fix to be sure it was right the first time. Because a short delay now is better for the long-term history of the game. So at this point, they have said they rolled out a fix. They've done some maintenance. They've done all of this. But they have not pushed those results live to the real servers. And it does look like we are going into a maintenance on May 16th to actually roll that onto the servers. And that if you actually want it, you will have 10 days because you weren't expecting it now to kind of claim that. You'll be able to finalize your purchase by the end of May, and then we will begin a new lottery cycle on the 27th, hopefully putting an end to the housing saga. There will still be shortages until every time they add new wards, and then we'll realize it's still not enough. Island Sanctuary is not housing, but will hopefully alleviate some of what people want from housing. And this hopefully puts an end to this saga for now.
Now, the one thing I want everybody to take away from this, so if you actually got the winning lottery number of 0 error, and you've already gotten your money back, you're good. You're going to actually still be able to claim your house. You're going to actually be able to keep your money. So it's kind of like, hey, so if you guys got that 0 and you've been holding on to it and you want to get that money, in 6.2, they might implement a NPC that will allow you to go and voluntarily decide to get that money back. They're not going to do rollbacks on that regards. But I was going to let everybody know that there is actually already an NPC on Sargatanas named Bryn Zalazar that will happily accept your donation if you want to. Really give.
He's actually a very much a PC.
Yeah, very much. Anyway, so that is going to be up to you guys if you want to end up returning the money. So you will be able to get that, but you still have to claim your reward, your house, before the next lottery cycle. So the next cycle begins at midnight JST Friday, May 27th. That's 8 a.m. PDT, 10 a.m. Central Time, Thursday, May 26th. So that will go back to that 5-day cycle of entry, 4-day result period to claim, and then the cycle continues on and will continue on. So just note that is something that is coming up. So please be sure to pay attention to that, and hopefully, and good luck on your housing acquisitions. Hopefully you guys are able to get what you want, and hopefully this will be the last, outside of them overhauling the housing system, the last time we have to talk about housing issues in Final Fantasy XIV. Falls balls, praise the sun. Let's go.
For now.
For now. Chris,
we'll get to talk about DPS meters again. We'll get to talk about housing again. We'll get to talk about job balances again.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to have the limited. We're gonna get to have the I want a new race and I don't want Blue Mage limited. Those will come back, but we can put them to bed for now.
Yeah. At its core, what I hope that from all of this week shakes down, kind of as my final thought on going in from the news in this week, is that I really am looking forward to seeing what people give as feedback to what they want to see in the game. From like all the different add-ons, because essentially you had two communities just like coming up against each other. But here's like the real thing is like, what do you actually like about the add-on? Like, what does the add-ons do that Yoshi P and the team should work to implement? And some of the stuff that I saw, like there's some really cool looking add-ons. I just had never been like invested in that. I wasn't like in WoW. It was like, oh, I could do all these things. So like there is these two cultures, right? Like, oh yeah, that's how you do it in WoW. That's just the part of playing the game. Versus 14, it's like, no, that's against the terms. But there's still some people who've created some cool stuff, and I was like, man, I'm actually kind of curious to see what they're able to take. So you pair Spare No Expense with Add-on Finder 3000, and it's like, what does this thing do? And then boom, and the game gets better and better for it. Hopefully, cross his fingers.
I was asked how many add-ons it would take if I reinstalled WoW today, and so I sat down last night and wrote a list. Some people's numbers may be lower, some may be higher. My base add-on list to come back, and I assumed I'm going to come back and I'm going to try a little bit of everything. So I assumed I'm going to come back, I'm going to try a little PvP, I'm going to do a little gathering and crafting. So we've been talking about DPS meters this week, but what would happen if you had a power user like Ash 10 come in and say, like, what would I love to see from the crafting system?
Yeah.
And then we had some of these like power glamour users, and we had our peers. And so there's a lot of things outside of DPS meters that modify the game in a way that helps somebody that they would love to see as changes to the UI.
Yeah.
Right. If we're viewing this as not, because right now you have experts that use add-ons and experts that don't. And so all the people who don't, they're just assumed to be happy with the game, but they may not be. So as we're starting to talk about what do we want to see come native, you're not just opening it up to the people using add-ons, but you're opening it up to those power users who actually are like, I do use the game base because I feel I should, but that doesn't mean it can't get better.
Right.
I saw Zeppla actually tweeted out that she was asking, like, if you could add anything to the UI base, what would you add? And like the first response was play the game how it is. And she's like, no, I think you're misunderstanding. They said they're going to expand the UI to implement some features that people feel they have to have add-ons for or live without. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for? So go put it on a tweet. She'll put out a video. It'll get 1 million views. Maybe that'll actually kind of lead some of that change. But my number was 22. 22 mods to WoW is what it would take for me to go back and actually feel that I had a complete experience. Some of those do things that there is no parallel to inside of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Some of those do things that the Final Fantasy HUD actually surprisingly does do. It doesn't do it. It's clumsy. I admit. We talked about it on Rookery's stream yesterday. It's incredibly confusing because it's menus and tabs and drop downs and they're all nested inside each other. It's bloated and archaic, but it does get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that somebody would say that to play the game how it is, because that's actually sometimes what we end up seeing in feedback sessions. People feel like feedback threatens the overall integrity of the game itself, and that's, I don't think, unique to Final Fantasy at all, but that's something that I've noticed then where people feel and what it ends up doing, and that's why I think we ended up getting to this point over the course of years, is that providing feedback only gets hate. You only get hated, and so then essentially what you end up doing just naturally is you just shut up, and then you either leave the game or you just you're like, all right, I'm just not gonna say what I want or what would help me out or what I think is a good idea, because you end up just getting that force kind of hitting you back. And so that's the thing. I'm like, we've in this channel have highlighted ideas that I don't think this is good, or I don't think this is going to benefit me, but it's getting hated, and I want people to be aware of it, because sometimes you could have a very loud group of people that's very small that ends up trying to be this gatekeeping policing unit, and that's something that we've actively advocated and fought against, but can't fix humanity.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I'm gonna sit down and film a video today about
I'm looking forward to
all of the UI stuff that you can do with, and I'm not even going to dive into macros and stuff, because that would make the video longer than this whatever podcast video format this is. Yeah. So it would make it very, very, very long. I just want to basically kind of just bring people up to speed on just how much is nested within that. The reason the UI is so complicated to build at this point is because they've been slowly adding onto it, and so they've just continually bolted things on. And so that menu at this point has like tabs across the top, tabs down the left. They all have like drop downs and sliders and buttons. And some of those buttons have sub buttons. And so like, and that's before you even get to the UI where like, you say like UI and it shows you there's like 16 hidden hotbars, and like then some of those are shared and some are unshared, and you can toggle that. And like it just like, I understand why people, and then the worst part is because of cloud saving in the character selection screen, you set it and then you forget it. And so then what happens is your friend comes into the game, they've been playing for 4 months, and like, I don't know, there's a lot of things that just drive me nuts, like I can't even do this. And you're like, yeah, you can. I do it on my screen. They're like, oh, that's amazing, how do I do that? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I set that setting 5 years ago. I couldn't tell you how to fix it if I tried.
Yeah. Set it and forget it. Very true. Anyway, Chris, do you want to take us out of the video?
Yeah, we talked about everything but World First Race. So we talked about the housing updates. We talked about Square-Enix's earnings. And at the beginning of this, we talked about Pyro. So I don't know where this thing started, but I appreciate you coming on. We had a little bonus stream on Friday over on Twitch. And it's fun to talk about news that is positive around Final Fantasy XIV. And we look forward to doing that more often. So we'll see you next time.
Take care.